Welcome to my channel, and this is the creepiest place I've ever traveled. This is an abandoned insane asylum that was used for housing the criminally insane in the early 20th century. It has since been abandoned and left to rot. But there's one thing about it that makes it especially creepy. That's the fact that every single room is filled with these old, rusty straitjackets. You can find them literally everywhere. They were probably trying to keep the patients down here at some point. These things are so uncomfortable looking. I can't imagine anyone could sleep while wearing one of those, and it's just something about the way they look that creeps me out. It's believed that around 1964, when the hospital was still open, there was a mass murder of patients and staff by one of the orderlies. It's not confirmed, but it's believed that he killed around 50 people before being stopped by police. To this day, no one knows how he did it, but they think he used a meat cleaver. In all of the time that I spent exploring this insane asylum, I never found any bones or remains, but I'm sure if you walked through every single room like I did, you might be able to find something. One of the scariest parts of this is that it's right next to a children's hospital. Can you imagine being a kid, staying in that children's hospital and then seeing that insane asylum across the street? It would be absolutely terrifying. Some of these windows were broken, so I am guessing whoever lives near here probably gets pretty freaked out whenever they see someone walking around on the roof, because honestly, if I saw that, I would get pretty scared. I tried to find out more information about the history of this place, but there really isn't much known about it online, other than the fact that it was built in 1907 and closed in 1994. There is also not much evidence of the alleged mass killings that happened here either. If anyone knows more about what happened here, please leave a comment, because I would love to know more. And wow, does this place ever look like something from the movie Corpse? I explored this whole place alone and didn't tell anyone where I was going, because I knew that if I got in trouble for exploring this place, I'd get in even bigger trouble if they knew how far I actually went. I went above and beyond to make sure that my face was covered in this video, and I don't think that anyone would be able to figure out which hospital this is anyways. This place is just filled with so many scary, creepy rooms that I'm surprised I wasn't spooked while exploring it. But the one room that really stood out to me was this one right here. There's just something about this place that creeps me out, and it's hard to explain why. Maybe it's the fact that this is the room that I felt like had the most straitjackets in it. Or maybe it's the fact that the walls are completely covered in graffiti. Whatever it is, there's just something about this room that makes me feel super uncomfortable. There's also a lot of medical equipment left behind in here, including this big chair with a weird harness on it. I have no idea what this thing is for, but it doesn't look very comfortable. And just the fact that there's medical equipment laying around makes me think that whatever happened here didn't end well for the people who were experimented on. There's also these padded walls in some of the rooms. I don't know why they're there, but it looks like someone banged their head on them quite a few times. There's also this long hallway that stretches out into the distance, making it seem like it goes on forever. It's hard to tell in this video because of how dark it was, but it actually looks similar to the hallway from the movie The Shining. This place is definitely one of the creepiest places that I've ever traveled to. You can find some really cool vintage medical equipment, like this old dentist chair over here. It looks like it came straight out of a horror movie. I am surprised that the seat hasn't been ripped off yet, because I bet someone would sell it pretty fast if they had it. There's also this old metal cabinet with a bunch of keys on it. Honestly though, I think this thing is way too heavy for me to move, but if it wasn't, I would totally take it home with me just for the keys. I wonder how much they'd sell for online. The floors in this place are really interesting, because in most of the rooms, they're remade of tiles, but in some of them, they're made of wood. I think the wooden floors are a lot creepier because it sounds like someone est walking around on them. Even though no one est there, just listen to this sound. This is the main hallway on the first floor, and it's by far the most impressive part of the hospital. It stretches all the way to the back of the building and is filled with all of these old doors. It's really cool to see how many there are. Most of them don't open anymore, but some of them do, leading into random rooms. Some of these rooms are pretty small and don't have much in them, while others are massive and filled with straitjackets. It's amazing how quickly nature takes over when humans aren't there anymore. Look at how overgrown this wall is. I'm surprised that it hasn't completely fallen apart yet. It really looks like it could collapse at any moment. This window was left open, so I walked through it and decided to explore a little bit more. To be honest, I don't really know what I was expecting to find, but honestly, it's just a creepy old room. Still, I think it's interesting how the bars are covering the window. Like it's not like someone's gonna break in through there, but I guess they just wanted to make sure. There's also a bunch of old filing cabinets in here, and I'm sure if you went through all the paperwork, you'd find some really interesting stuff. Unfortunately, they were locked, so I couldn't open them, but I bet if you knew the combination, you'd find some really interesting stuff in there. As I was walking around, I found this old rusty key, and it was bent in half. It looks like it's been here for a long time, and no one has touched it in years. I think it's interesting how some things never change. No matter where you go in the world, you can always count on finding trash on the ground. Here's another one of the hallways. This one was covered in graffiti and looked pretty messed up. There were also a ton of straitjackets in here, and it really looked like the perfect setting for a horror movie. There were also a bunch of old beds in here, and I think these were probably used for restraining patients at some point. The mattress was pretty much non-existent on this one, but it looks like it might have had one at some point. Here's a cool door that I found. It's just interesting how all of these buildings can be pretty much forgotten about. And it makes you wonder what will happen to this place 100 years from now. Will it still be standing, or will it have completely fallen apart? Who knows? This was one of the few rooms that still had a bed in it. It looked pretty comfortable, honestly, but I'm sure if you slept in it, you wouldn't be sleeping for long. This was also the only room that I saw with a closet in it, so I am not sure if they kept all the closets locked, or if they removed them to make it easier to watch the patients. So yeah, that's the creepiest place that I've ever traveled to. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this.